This is for the skeptics. Actual proof that they use wires.
You look like you're in a
Check
studio,
this out.
maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
Yeah, because the air proves that you're in space.
I don't know. We're going to have to
Check
do
this.
something for
Check
it.
the man with the stripy top. Look, he grabs the wire above him. Now check the man on the right. With his right arm, he grabs the wire. Did you see it?
I'm going to ask you, sir. Do you ever get tired of doing flips up there?
Not really. You don't. I don't get tired of it. You definitely get better at it. You know, the longer you're up here. To where
Great form,
you know
sir.
you can, and I can do them. You know, even much faster and do a lot of them. So you definitely get like Olympic caliber flip technique after you've been up here for a long time.
That is really cool. We love it.
With chroma key means you can use any background that you like. This is what the background looks like. This is the true background that we filmed this on. With chroma key it means you can have any background that you like this, or maybe this, or maybe this.
Computer-generated dream world. This computer-generated dream.
You look at this thing, this, and the actors, they are the only things that mess up. Watch closely. This is a big deal because it means without any doubt whatsoever that there was live editing and video manipulation. Not only would the background get scrambled as well, but these guys wouldn't all disappear at the same time. So check that one out on NASA's channel. I'll leave a link in the description.
living in a dream world, Neil. This is the world as it exists today.
many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Now sometimes you get water in the helmet, and it's either from sweat or from the cooling garments. And in some of my spacewalks, I had like water in the helmet. Not like I was going to drown in the helmet, but just little bits of water probably came from sweat. Often on the outside of the space station, you'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there, and the outside of the space station gets beat up pretty good. And sometimes, you'll see just little flecks of paint or something that you might have disrupted floating away from the suit. And, that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Yeah. Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there?
You got us.
All right, well, I just encourage everyone to look up bubbles in space, hashtag bubbles in space. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'd like him to look at the front of the DCM.
Looks so fake.
So you have a whole series of O-rings in here and a shaft that you rotate.
So, I mean, like on the space station, how many of these would you have?
7, because we have 7 windows.
What happens if you get a leak on that?
Then you have a leak.
You just have a leak,
and what you would do
you
is
lose air.
Yeah, you would probably seal the whole cupola off, and then there's probably a plan, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's probably a plan for replacing the mechanism. Might require a spacewalk.
So my question is, how can you operate a lid on the outside of the space station by manipulating something mechanical on the inside of the space station without losing air pressure?
It's called real good engineering.
Okay, you heard Don Pettit. He said that it takes a really good engineer to design this sort of thing. I'm told the guy quit working on the space program and now owns his own motorcycle parts business. There's another detail of those O-ring grooves, right?
Right, these are the dynamic grooves. Those two are the ones that actually are turning.
Did you hear what he just said? He said they're dynamic O-rings. That means there's a shaft running through it actually rubbing on the O-ring. So you've got the air that you're breathing as an astronaut, right? And it's being held back from the vacuum of space by two little bitty O-rings. That's incredible.
It was really cool over in the IMAX theater over Space Center Houston.
If you were traveling that fast, how fast is it though? It's
Well, we really appreciate you spending some time with us. We know you're coming to the end of your stay up there, and you know, very little time, and you're real busy. But we just wanted to ask you a couple questions. You know, one thing that's been going on down here is we've really been enjoying this great photography, these images you've been sending down, and it almost looks like it's science fiction or some kind of Hollywood stuff. But there's no way anyone could imagine this, of how beautiful it is. And so we're wondering, how did you do this? Well, how do you get those great shots that you've been getting up?
Well, first of all, it started with some good equipment that we have, and particularly the low light stuff. It's the D3 camera has some really amazing low light capabilities, and then it was good training. The training team at JSC, I told them I was interested in this kind of stuff, and so we worked on it some. I started with the training and the procedures up here, and then I started practicing, and that's one of the great things about a long duration mission. On a shuttle mission, you're good if you can point a camera to the window and take a few snapshots. But up here, you have the time, and we have weekends and some off-duty time to practice these things, and that's what I did. I spent a lot of time, you know, in the cupola during the night passes, trying to figure out how to get the right lighting and timing.
Yeah, because the nighttime imagery is so amazing, because it's so hard to get. Up until now, you know, recently that you've been able to do it like this, you see all these beautiful scenes during the day that we can get because there's plenty of light, and you can see it with your eye. You know, at nighttime it's like this magical place in space. It looks like it's science fiction or some kind of Hollywood. It looks like it's science fiction or some kind of Hollywood. It looks like it's science fiction or some kind of Hollywood.
Whilst
from Mark Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Yeah.
All
because
the
you can
time.
see. Because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon. The sky is a deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon.
And we could not see stars.
It's not a black void. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
And when you're in space and you're looking into deep space and you're on the sun side of the orbit, the sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the Milky
you
Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic.
The sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Then when you look out into deep space away from the sun, it's the darkest black you can imagine.
Just the inherent beauty of it, the velvet, bottomless bucket of the universe.
In like just hanging there in a vast sea of darkness, and the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars. From Mark Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
And the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
The sky, of course, was black, but it had sort of a velvet sheen to it.
The biggest visual surprise was just how black the sky was. You have a brilliant sun, brighter than any sun you normally would see, even here in New Mexico. You have these extraordinarily high mountains. We were in a valley deeper than the Grand Canyon. But then you have this black sky, a sky blacker than black, as the old Vidicon expression used to be.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
I've often tried to explain the difference between darkness, when you turn out the lights and it's dark in here, or blackness. Blackness is the endlessness of it all. It's hard to comprehend.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking
Выше руки! Пойте с нами!
See me?
Howie? Howie?
Hey, there's my beautiful bride. Can you see me?
I can. How are you?
Hey, look, this pen is floating. How crazy is that?
Like he's been doing since he got here.
NASA tells us that they lost the 1960s technology that took us to the moon.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. But I think I know. Because we didn't.
NASA tells us that the Earth is photoshopped because it has to be.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space.